Om Sai Ram, Sai Satcharitra Chapter 21. In this chapter, Hemant Pant relates the stories of Vinayak Harishchandra Thakur, Anantrao Patankar of Pune, and a pleader from Pandharpur. All these stories are very interesting and, if carefully read and grasped, will lead the readers onto the spiritual path. Preliminary. As a general rule, it is the result of the accumulation of merits in our past births that enables us to seek the company of saints and profit thereby. To illustrate this rule, Hemant Pant gives his own instance. He was a resident magistrate in Bhandra, a suburb of Bombay, for many years. A famous Muslim saint named Pir Maulana lived there, and many people who followed different religions used to go to him and receive his darshan. The Maulana's priests tried to persuade Hemant Pant many a times to go and see the saint, but for some reason or the other, he was not able to receive the Maulana's darshan. After many years, his turn came and he was called to Shirdi, where he was permanently enlisted in SaiBaba's darbar. Unfortunate people do not get to meet saints. It is only fortunate ones who receive this grace. Saints working in unison. There have been saints in this world from time immemorial. Various saints incarnate in various places to carry out the missions allotted to them. And though they work in different places, they work in unison. They work in unison under the common authority of the Almighty Lord and know exactly what each of them is doing in this place and supplement his work where necessary. An instance illustrating this is given below. Mr. Thakur. Mr. V.H. Thakur was a clerk in the revenue department. He once came to a town named Vadgaon with a survey team. There he met a Canary saint, Appa, and bowed before him. The saint was explaining a portion from the book Vichar Sagar by Nischal Das, a standard work on the Vedanta, to the audience. When Thakur was about to leave, Appa said to him, "You should study this book, and if you do so, your desires will be fulfilled. And when you go to the north in the discharge of your duties in the future, you will be fortunate enough to come across a great saint. Then he will show you the future path and give rest to your mind and make you happy." Then he was transferred to Junnar, where he had to cross the Nhani Ghat, a rugged valley, every day to get to work. This ghat was very steep and almost impassable, and no conveyance other than a buffalo was of use in crossing it. So he had to take a buffalo ride through the ghat. The trip inconvenienced him greatly. He was later transferred to Kalyan on a promotion, and there he met Nana Sahib Chandorkar. He heard a lot about Sai Baba from Chandorkar and wished to see Baba. The next day, Nana Sahib had to go to Shirdi, and he asked Thakur to accompany him. Thakur could not do so as he had to appear in the Thana civil court for the case. So Nana Sahib went alone. Thakur went to Thana, but there the case was postponed. Then he regretted not accompanying Nana Sahib. Nevertheless, he left for Shirdi, and when he arrived, he found that Nana Sahib had left the previous day. Some of his other friends whom he met there took him to Baba. He saw Baba, fell at his feet, and was overjoyed. His eyes were full of tears of joy, and his hair stood on end. Then after a while, the omniscient Baba said to him, "The path of this place is not as easy as the teachings of the Canary Saint Appa, or even as easy as the buffalo ride in the Nane Ghat. On the spiritual path, you have to put in your best effort, as it is very difficult." When Thakur heard this significant words, which no one else knew, he was overwhelmed with joy. He immediately knew that the words of the Canary saint had turned out to be true. Then, joining both the hands and placing his head at Baba's feet, he prayed that he should be accepted and blessed. Baba then said, "What Appa told you was right, but these things have to be practiced and lived. Mere reading won't do. You have to think through and carry out what you read, otherwise it is of no use. Mere book learning without the grace of the Guru or without self-realization is of no avail. The theoretical portion was read from the work Vichar Sagar, but the practical way was shown to him at Shirdi. Another story given below will bring out this truth more forcibly. Anantrao Patankar. A gentleman from Pune named Anantrao wished to see Baba. He came to Shirdi and received Baba's darshan. His eyes were appeased and he was very pleased. He fell at Baba's feet and after performing proper worship said to Baba, I have read a lot, studied the Vedas, Vedantas and Upanishads and heard all the Puranas, and yet I still have not got any peace of mind. Thus, I think that all my reading was useless. Simple, ignorant, devout persons are better than me. Unless the mind becomes calm, all book learning is of no avail. I have heard from many people that you easily give peace of mind to so many people by your mere glance and playful words. So I have come here. Please take pity on me and bless me. Then Baba told him a parable which was as follows. The parable of 9 balls of stool, Navavidha Bhakti. Once a merchant came here, and right before him his maid passed her stool, 9 balls of stool. The merchant, intent on his quest, spread the end of his dhotar and gathered all the 9 balls in it, and thus he got peace of mind. Mr. Patankar could not understand the meaning of the story, so he asked Ganesh Damodar alias Dada Kelkar, what does Baba mean by this? He replied, I don't know all the Baba says and means, but I will say what he inspires me to. The mare is God's grace, and the 9 balls excreted are the 9 forms of bhakti. Shravana hearing, Kirtana praying, Smarana is remembering, Pada Sevana is resorting to the feet, Archana is worship, Namaskara is bowing, Dasya is service, Sakhyata is friendship, and Atma Nivedana, surrender of the self. If any of this is faithfully followed, the Lord will be pleased and will manifest himself in the home of the devotee. All the sadhanas like japa is the vocal worship, tapa is the penance, yoga and studying the scriptures and expounding them are quite useless unless they are accompanied by bhakti, the devotion. Knowledge of the Vedas or fame as a great gnani and mere formal bhajan are of no avail. What is wanted is loving devotion. Consider yourself as the merchant of seeker after the truth and be anxious and eager like him to collect or cultivate the 9 types of devotion. Then you will attain stability and peace of mind. The next day, when Patankar went to Baba, he was asked whether he collected the 9 balls of stool. Then he said that he, as a poor soul, should first be graced by Baba and then only could they be collected. Then Baba blessed and comforted him, saying that he would attain peace of mind and serenity. After hearing this, Patankar became overjoyed and happy. The Pandharpur pleader. We should close this chapter with a short story showing Baba's omniscience and his using it to correct people and set them on the right path. Once a pleader from Pandharpur came to Shirdi, went to masjid and received Sai Baba's darshan. He fell at Baba's feet and without being asked offered some dakshina. Then he sat in a corner, eager to hear the conversation that was going on. The Baba turned towards the man and said, How cunning people are! They fall at my feet after dakshina and insult me behind my back. Is this not wonderful? This remark fitted the pleader and he had to take it. No one understood the remark, but the pleader grasped it and remained silent. When they turned to the Vada, the pleader said to Kaka Sahib Dikshit, Baba's remark was perfectly accurate. The dart remark was aimed at me. It was a hint that I should not indulge in revealing or scandalizing others. When the sub-judge of Pandharpur, Mr. Nulkar, came and stayed in Shirdi for the improvement of the health, a discussion about this matter was going on in barroom at Pandharpur, something that occurs in many a barroom. The lawyers discussed whether the sub-judge's ailments would never be cured without a medicine. Would he be cured merely by seeking Sai Baba's aid, and was it proper for an educated man like the sub-judge to resort to such methods? The sub-judge was taken to talk and was criticized, and so was Sai Baba. I also took some part in this affair, and now Sai Baba showed me the impropriety of my conduct. This is not a rebuke to me, but a favor. It is advised that I should not indulge in any scandal or slander of others and not interfere unnecessarily in others' affairs. Shirdi is about 300 miles from Pandharpur, and yet Baba, due to his omniscience, knew what transpired there in the barroom. The intervening places were not an impediment to his all pervading sight, and he could read everyone's mind and see through their hearts. Nothing was secret or veiled from him. Everything far or near was as plain and clear to him as broad daylight. Let a man be far or near, he cannot avoid the all pervading gaze of Sai Baba. Through this incident, the pleader learned the lesson that he should never speak ill of others or unnecessarily criticize them. Thus, his evil tendency was removed and he was set on the right path. Though the story refers to a pleader, it is applicable to everyone. Everyone should take this lesson to heart and profit thereby. Sai Baba's greatness is unfathomable, and so far, and so are his wonderful Leelas. His life is also such, for he is Parabrahma, the Lord incarnate. End of chapter 21. Om Sai Ram. Om Sai Ram. Sai Satcharitra Chapter 22. Topics: Bala Saheb Mirikar, Bapu Saheb Booty, Amir Shakar, Hemad Pant, and Baba's opinion regarding the killing of serpents. Preliminary. How does one meditate on Baba? No one has been able to fathom the nature or the form of the Almighty. Even the Vedas and the thousand-tongued Shesha are not able to describe it fully. But the devotees cannot but know and look at the form of the God, for they know that his feet are the only means of their happiness. They know no other method of attaining the supreme goal of life except meditating on the holy feet of the Lord. Hemad Pant suggests an easy way of devotion and meditation, which is as follows. Look at Baba's posture. See how fine it is. He is sitting with his legs folded, the right leg across the left knee. The finger of his left hand are spread on the right foot. On the right toe are spread his two fingers, the index and middle ones. By this posture, Baba means to say that if anyone wants to see his life, be egoless, very humble, and meditate on his toe through the opening between the two branches, this is the easiest means of attaining devotion. Now let us turn for a moment to Baba's life. Shirdi had become a place of pilgrimage on account of Baba's stay. People from all quarters flocked there, and both the rich and the poor began to be benefited in more ways than one. Who can describe Baba's boundless love, his wonderful knowledge, and his all pervasiveness? Blessed is he who could experience one or all of this. Sometimes Baba observed long silence, which were in a way his dissertation on the Brahman. And at other times he was consciousness, bliss incarnate. Sometimes he spoke in parables, and at other times indulged in wit and humor. At times he was quite unambiguous, that is clear, and at times he seemed enraged. Sometimes he gave his teachings in a nutshell, while at other times he argued at length. Many a times he was very direct. In this way, he gave varied instruction to people according to their requirements. His life was therefore inscrutable, beyond the need of our mind and beyond our intellect and speech. All longing to see his face, to speak with him, and hear his Leelas was never satisfied, and yet we are overflowing with joy. We can account the showers of rain and encircle the wind in a leather bag, but who can gauge or measure his Leelas? Now, we deal here with one aspect of them, how he anticipated or forestalled the calamities of his devotees and warded them off in time. Bala Saheb Mirikar. Bala Saheb Mirikar, Sirdar Kaka Saheb Mirikar's son, was Mamaldar of Kopargaon. He was going on tour to Chitali. On the way, he came to Shirdi to see Sai Baba. When he went to the masjid and prostrated himself before Baba, the usual conversation regarding health and other matters commenced. When Baba suddenly sounded a note of warning as follows: "Do you know our Dwarkamai?" As Bala Saheb did not understand what Baba meant, he kept quiet and Baba continued, "Our Dwarkamai is where you are seated. She wards off all the dangers and anxieties of her children who sit on her lap. This Masjid Mai, its presiding deity, is very merciful. She is the mother of simple devotees, whom she will save in calamities. Once a person sits on her lap, all his troubles are over. He who rests in her shade gets bliss." Then Baba gave him Odi and blessed him by placing his protecting hand on Mirikar's head. When Bala Saheb was about to depart, Baba again said, "Do you know the Lamba Bhava, the serpent?" And then closing his left arm like a fist, he brought it near his right elbow and moving his left arm like the hood of a serpent, he said, "He is so terrible. But what can he do to the children of the Dwarkamai? When the Dwarkamai protects, what could the serpent possibly do?" Everyone who was present there was curious to know the meaning of all this and its reference to Mirikar. But no one had the courage to ask Baba about this. Then Bala Saheb bowed before Baba and left the masjid with Shama. Baba called Shama back and asked him to accompany Bala Saheb and enjoy the Chitali trip. Shama went up to Bala Saheb and told him that he would travel with him, according to Baba's orders. Bala Saheb replied that he need not come as it would be inconvenient. Shama returned to Baba and told him that Bala Saheb had said, Baba said, "All right, do not go. We should mean well and do well. Whatever is destined to happen will happen." In the meanwhile, Bala Saheb thought over it again and asked Shama to accompany him. Then Shama went to Baba again and took his leave and left with Bala Saheb in the Tanga. They reached Chitali at 9 a.m. and encamped in the Maruti temple. The office workers had not arrived, so they sat quietly in the temple chatting. Bala Saheb was sitting on a mat reading a newspaper. His uparani, that is the upper dhotar, was spread across his waist. On a part of it, a snake was sitting unobserved. It began to move with a rustling sound, which was heard by the peon. He brought a lantern, saw the snake, and raised an alarm. Bala Saheb was frightened and began to shiver with fear. Shama was also stunned. Then Shama and the others moved stealthily and picked up sticks and clubs. The snake slithered slowly off Miraku's waist and it was immediately done to death. Thus, this calamity, which was predicted by Baba, was averted and Bala Saheb's love for Baba increased immensely. Bapu Saheb Bhuti, a great astrologer, named Nana Saheb, said to Bapu Saheb Bhuti one day, "Today is an inauspicious day for you. There is a danger to your life." This made Bapu Saheb restless. When Bapu Saheb came to the masjid that day, Baba said to him, "What does this Nana say? He foretells death for you? Well, you need not be afraid. Tell him boldly. Let us see how death kills." Then later in the evening, when Bapu Saheb went to relieve himself, he saw a snake. His servants saw it too and lifted a stone to strike at it. Bapu Sahib asked him to get a big stick, but before the servant returned with the stick, the snake was then slithering away and soon disappeared. Bapu Sahib remembered with joy Baba's words of fearlessness. Amir Shakar. Amir Shakar was a native of the village of Koral. He worked as a commission agent in Bandra and was well known there. He once suffered from rheumatism, which gave him a lot of pain. He was then reminded of God, so he left his business and went to Shirdi and prayed to Baba to relieve him from his malady. Baba then stationed him in the Chavdi, which was then a damp, unhealthy place unfit for such a patient. Any other place in the village would have been better for Amir, but Baba's word was the deciding factor and the chief medicine. Baba did not allow him to come to the masjid, but asked him to remain in the chavdi, where he got the great advantage of Baba's regular darshan. Baba passed by the chavdi every morning and evening and stayed there overnight every alternate day, so Amir received Baba's contact very often. Amir stayed there for a full 9 months, and then somehow or the other he had a disgust for the place. So one night he stealthily left the place and came to Kopargaon and stayed in a dharmashala. There he saw an old dying fakir who asked him for water. Amir brought some water and gave it to the fakir. As soon as the fakir drank it, he passed away. Then Amir was in a fix. He thought that if he went and informed the authorities, he would be held responsible for the death as he was the first and sole informant. He repented leaving Shirdi without Baba's leave and prayed to Baba. He then decided to return to Shirdi that same night and ran back to Shirdi. Remembering Baba and chanting Baba's name on the way, then he lived in the Chavdi in perfect accordance with Baba's wishes and orders and was eventually cured. One night, it so happened that Baba cried out at midnight, "Oh Abdul, some devilish creature is dashing against the side of my bed." Abdul came with a lantern and examined Baba's bed but found nothing. Baba asked him to look carefully and began to strike the ground with his satka. Seeing Baba's Leela, Amir knew that Baba sensed a serpent had come there. Amir knew through close and long contact with Baba the meaning of Baba's words and actions. Baba then saw something moving near Amir's pillow. He asked Abdul to bring the light, and when he brought it, he saw the coil of a serpent moving its head up and down. The serpent was immediately beaten to death. Thus Baba gave timely warning and saved Amir. Hemant Pant's experience, the scorpion and the serpent. At Baba's recommendation, Kaka Sahib Dikshit read two books of Sri Eknath Maharaj, the Bhagavat and Bhavarta Ramayana, every day, and Hemant Pant had the good fortune of being amongst the audience. Once, when a portion from the Ramayana about Hanuman's testing Rama's greatness, according to his mother's instruction, was being read, all the listeners were spellbound. Hemant Pant was one of them. The big Scorpio, no one knew where it came from, sat on his Uparani, that is the upper dhotar, which was on Hemant Pant's right shoulder. At first it was not noticed, but as the Lord protects those who are intent on hearing his stories, Hemant Pant casually cast a glance over his right shoulder and noticed it. It was dead silent and did not move at all. It seemed as if it too was enjoying the reading. Then, with Lord's grace, Hemant Pant stealthily took the two ends of his dhota, folded them, and enclosed the Scorpio within. Then he went out and threw it out into the garden. On another occasion, a few people were sitting on the upper floor of Dikshit's Vada just before nightfall when a serpent crept through a hole in the window frame and sat coiled up. A light was brought and the snake was first dazzled by the light. However, it sat still and only moved its head up and down. Then many people rushed there with sticks and cudgels, but as it sat in an awkward place, no blow could be dealt. But upon hearing the commotion, the serpent went out hastily through the same hole. Then everyone there felt relieved. Baba's opinion. A devotee named Muktaram then said that it was good that the poor creature escaped. Hemant Pant challenged him, saying that serpents should be killed. There was a heated discussion between them, the former contending that serpents and such creatures should not be killed, the latter that they should be. As night fell, the discussion came to an end without any decisions being arrived at. The next day, the question was referred to Baba, who gave his opinion, which was as follows: God lives in all beings and creatures, whether they are serpents or scorpions. He is the master, wire puller of the universe, and all beings obey his commands. Unless he wills it, nobody can do any harm unto others. The world is all dependent on him, and no one is independent. So, we should take pity on and love all creatures, not engage in adventurous fights and killings, and be patient. The Lord protects everyone. End of chapter 22. Om Sai Ram. Om Sai Ram, Sai Satcharitra Chapter 23. Topics: Yoga and the Onion, Shamma cured of snake bite, Baba breaks the cholera ordinance, and the ordeal of Guru Bhakti. Preliminary. In reality, this Jiva transcends the three qualities, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, but being false belief by Maya, he forgets his nature, which is existence, knowledge, bliss, and thinks that he is the one who does things and thus entangles himself in endless miseries and does not know the way of deliverance. The only way of deliverance is loving devotion towards the Guru's feet. The great player or actor, the Lord Sai, has blessed us bhaktas and transferred them into himself. We regard Sai Baba as an incarnation of God for reasons already stated, but he always said that he was an obedient servant of God. Though an incarnation, he showed people the way to behave satisfactorily and carry out the duties of the respective stations in his life. He never emulated others in any way or asked others to have something done for him. For him, who saw the Lord in all movable and immovable things of the world, humility was the most appropriate. He did not disregard or disrespect anybody, for he saw Narayana, the Lord, in all beings. He never said, I am God, but that he was a humble servant and that he always remembered God and always said the words, God is the sole proprietor or the owner. We do not know saints well enough how they behave or what they do. We only know that by God's grace they manifest themselves in this world to liberate ignorant and bound souls like us. If there is a store of merits on our account, we get a desire or listen to the stories and leelas of saints. Let us now turn to the main story of this chapter. Yoga and the Onion. Once it so happened that a keen scholar of yoga came to Shirdi with Nana Sahib Chandorkar. He had studied all the works on yoga, including the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, but had no practical experience. He could not concentrate his mind and attain samadhi even for a short time. He thought that if Sai Baba was pleased with him, he would show him the way to attain samadhi for a longer time. With this object in mind, he came to Shirdi and went to the masjid. There he saw Sai Baba eating bread with onion. On seeing this, a thought arose in his mind. How can this man, who eats stale bread with raw onion, solve my issues and help me. Sai Baba read his mind immediately and said to Nana Sahib, Nana, only he who has the power to digest onion should eat it and none else. Hearing this remark, the yogi was wonderstruck and he fell at Baba's feet in complete surrender. With a pure and open mind, he explained his difficulties and had them solved by Baba. Thus, being satisfied and happy, he left Shirdi with Baba's udi and blessings. Shama cured of snake bite. Before Imad Pant begins the story, he says that the jiva is very similar to a parrot, since they're both bound, one in the body and the other in the cage. Both think that their present bound state is good for them. It is only when a helper, that is Guru, comes along and with God's grace opens their eyes and liberates them from their bondage that their eyes are open to a greater and larger life. In the last chapter, we saw how Baba anticipated the calamity that was to befall Mr. Mirikar and rescued him from it. Now let the readers hear an even grander story. Once Shama was bitten by a poisonous snake. His little finger was stung and the poison began to spread into his body. The pain was severe and Shama thought he would die soon. His friends wanted to take him to the god Vithoba, where such cases were often sent, but Shama ran to the masjid to his Vithoba, Sai Baba. When Baba saw him, he began to yell at him. He got enraged and said, O Ville, Bathurdia, do not climb up. Beware if you do so. And then roared, Go, get away, come down. Seeing Baba thus red with wrath, Shama was greatly puzzled and disappointed. He thought that the masjid was his home and that Sai Baba his sole refuge. But he was driven away like this. Where should he go? He lost all hope of life and sat there dejected. After a while, Baba became normal and calm, and Shama went up and sat near him. Then Baba said to him, Don't be afraid. The merciful fakir will save you. Go and sit quietly at home. Don't go out and believe in me. Remain fearless and have no anxiety. Then he was sent home. Soon after this, Baba sent Tatya Patil and Kaka Sahib Dikshit to Shama with instruction to the effect that he should eat and drink what he liked, should move freely inside his house, but should not lie down and sleep, needless to say. These instructions were acted upon and Shama soon recovered. The only things to be remembered in this case are the words Baba used. The words go, get away, come down were not addressed to Shama as it appeared then, but were a direct order to the snake and its poison to not go up and circulate through Shama's body. Like others well versed in Mantra Shastra, Baba did not have to use any incantation, charge rice, or water. His words by themselves were most efficacious in saving Shama's life. Anyone who hears the story and other similar ones will develop firm faith in Sai Baba's feet. And the only way to cross the ocean of Maya is to always remember Baba's holy feet. The cholera epidemic. Once cholera was raging violently in Shirdi, the residents were very frightened and they stopped all communication with the outside world. The elders of the village assembled and decided upon two audiences as a remedy to stop the epidemic. The audiences were that no fuel cart should be allowed to come into the village and that no goat should be killed there. If anybody disobeyed their ordinances, they were to be fined by the village elders. Baba knew that all this was mere superstitious and therefore did not care at all for the cholera ordinances, while the ordinances were in the force, a fuel cart came there and wanted to enter the village. Everybody knew that there was a shortage of fuel in the village, yet people began to drive the fuel cart away. Baba came to know this. He came to the spot and asked the cart driver to take the fuel cart to the masjid. No one dared to raise his voice against Baba. He wanted to fuel for his dhuni, and so he purchased it. Like a Brahman, keeping the sacred fire alive throughout his life, Baba kept his dhuni burning all day and night, and for this he always stocked fuel. Baba's home, the masjid, was free and open to everyone. It had no lock and key, and poor people took some firewood from there for their use. Baba did not grumble about this. Baba knew that the whole universe was pervaded by the Almighty, and so he never bore enmity or ill will towards anybody. Though perfectly detached, he behaved like an ordinary householder to set an example for us people. The ordeal of Guru Bhakti. Let us know, see how the second cholera ordinance fared with Baba. While it was in force, somebody brought a goat to the masjid. It was weak, old, and about to die. At this time, Fakir Pir Muhammad of Malegaon, alias Bade Baba, was there. Sai Baba asked him to behead it with one stroke and offer it as an oblation. Bhade Baba was respected by Sai Baba. He always sat right next to Sai Baba. After the children, the pipe was first smoked by Sai Baba. It was then offered to Bade Baba and then the others. After the dishes were served at noon, Sai Baba respectfully called Bade Baba and made him sit on his left side, and then everyone partook of the food. Baba paid him ₹50 every day out of the amount collected as dakshina. Baba accompanied him 100 paces whenever he was leaving. Such was his position with Baba. But when Sai Baba asked him to behead the goat, he flatly refused, saying, "Why should it be killed for nothing?" Then Baba asked Shama to kill it. He went to Radha Krishna Mai and bought a knife from her and placed it before Baba. When she discovered the purpose for which the knife was taken, she recalled it. Then Shama went to get another knife, but remained in the Vada and did not return for a while. Then came Kaka Sahib Dikshit's turn. He was undoubtedly as good as gold, but had to be tested. Baba asked him to get a knife and kill the goat. He went to Sate's Vada and returned with a knife. He was ready to kill it at Baba's bidding. He was born in a pure Brahmin family and never in his life killed anything. Though quite averse to performing any act of violence, he made himself bold enough to kill the goat. Everyone looked on him. Astonishment to see the Bade Bhai, a Muslim, was unwilling to kill it, while this pure Brahmin was making preparation to do so. He tightened his dhotar and with a semicircular motion raised the knife and looked at Baba for the final signal. Baba said, "What are you waiting for? Go on, strike." Then, as the hand was just about to come down, Baba said, "Stop. How cruel you are. Being a Brahmin, you are going to kill a goat." Kaka Sahib obeyed and put the knife down and said to Baba, "Your nectar-like word is law unto us, for we do not know any other ordinance. We remember you always, meditate on your form, and obey you day and night. We do not know or consider whether it is right or wrong to kill, and we do not want to reason or discuss things. We implicitly and promptly comply with our Guru's orders. It is our duty and dharma." Then Baba said to Kaka Sahib that he would himself do the offering and killing business. It was settled that the goat would be disposed of near a place called Takya, where Fakirs used to sit. When the goat was being taken to that place, it died on the way. Hemad Plant closes the chapter with a classification of disciples. He says that there are three kinds: the best, the mediocre, and the ordinary. The best kind of disciples are those who guess that their gurus want and immediately carry it out and serve them without waiting for an order from them. The mediocre disciples are those who carry out the orders of their guru to the letter without any delay. And the third kind of disciples are those who keep postponing carrying out their orders and make mistakes at every step. Disciples should have firm faith, backed by intelligence, and if they add patience to these, the spiritual goal will not be distant. Control of breath and other difficulty practices is not at all necessary. And the disciples get the above mentioned qualities, they become ready for further instructions, and the master then appear and lead them on their spiritual path to perfection. In the next chapter, we will deal with Baba's interesting wit and humor. End of chapter 23. Om Sai Ram. Om Sai Ram. Sai Satcharitra Chapter 24. Topics: Baba's wit and humor, Chanak Leela, Sudhama's story, Anna Chinchanikar versus Mavsi Bai, Baba's dependence on his bhaktas. Preliminary. To see that we shall state a specific thing in this chapter as a form of egoism. Unless we surrender our ego to the feet of our Sadguru, we will not succeed in our undertaking. If we become egoless, then our success is assured. By worshipping Sai Baba, we attain objects, both worldly and spiritual, and are fixed in our true nature and attain peace and happiness. Therefore, those who are concerned about their welfare should respectfully hear Sai Baba's stories and meditate on them. If they do this, they will easily attain the object of their life and get bliss. Generally, people like wit and humor, but they do not like it when jokes are cut at their expense. But Baba's method was peculiar. When it was accompanied by gestures, it was very interesting and instructive, and people therefore did not mind if jokes were made at their expense. Hemant Pant gives his own instance below. Chanak Leela. In Shirdi, the bazaar was held every Sunday, and people from neighboring villages came there, erected stalls on the streets, and sold their wares. Every noon, the masjid was crowded, but on Sunday it was crowded to suffocation. On one such Sunday, Hemant Pant sat in front of Baba, shampooing his legs and chanting God's name. Shama was on Baba's left, Vaman Rao to his right, and Shriman Bhuti, Kaka Sahib Dikshit, and others were also present there. Then Shama laughed and said to Hemant Pant, "Look, a few grains seem to have stuck to the sleeve of your coat." Saying this, he touched the sleeve and found that there were a few grains stuck there. Hemant Pant straightened his left forearm to see what the matter was, when to everyone's surprise, a few grains of gram fell off and were picked up by the people who were sitting there. This incident supplied the subject matter for a joke. Everybody present began to wonder and said something or the other about how the grains found there were into the sleeve of the coat and had remained there so long. Hemant Pant also could not guess how they had found their way in and stayed there. When nobody could offer a satisfactory explanation, Baba explained. Baba, this fellow, Anna Sahib, has got the bad habit of eating alone. Today is a bazaar day, and he was there chewing grams. I know his habit, and these grams are a proof of it. What wonder is there in this matter? Hemant Pant, Baba, I have never eaten things alone. Then why do you thrust this habit or the bad habit on me? I have never ever seen the Shirdi bazaar, and I never went to the bazaar today. Then how could I buy grams, and how could I eat them if I had not bought them? I never eat anything unless I share it with others present near me. Baba, it is true that you give to the persons present, but if none be nearby, what could you or I do? But do you remember me before eating? Am I not always with you? Then do you offer me anything before you eat? Moral of the story. Let us note carefully what Baba has taught us by this incident. He has advised us that before the senses, mind, and intellect enjoy their objects, he should first be remembered, and if this is done, It is in a way an offering to him. The senses can never remain without their objects, but if those objects are first offered to the Guru, our attachment to them will naturally vanish. In this way, all the vrittis, the thoughts regarding desire, anger, and avarice, should first be offered and directed to the Guru, and if this practice is followed, the Lord will help you in eradicating all the vrittis. When you think of Baba before the enjoyment of such an object, the question of whether the object is fit to be enjoyed will at once arise. Then, the object that is not fit to be enjoyed will be shunned, and in this way, our vicious habits or vices will disappear and our character will improve. Then love for the Guru will grow and pure knowledge will sprout. When this knowledge grows, the bondage of body, consciousness, we are the body, will snap and our intellect will be merged in spirit. Consciousness, we are the spirit. Then we shall get eternal bliss and contentment. There is no difference between the Guru and God. He who sees any difference in them sees God nowhere. So, leaving aside all ideas of difference, we should regard our Guru and God as one. And if we serve our Guru as stated above, the Lord God will certainly be pleased. He will purify our minds and gives a self-realization. To put the matter in a nutshell, we should not enjoy any object with our senses without first remembering our Guru. When the mind is trained in this way, we will always be reminded of Baba and a meditation on Baba will grow. The physical form of Baba will always be before your eyes and devotion. Non-attachment and salvation will be yours. When Baba's form is thus fixed before our mental vision, we forget hunger, thirst, and this samsara. The consciousness of worldly pleasures will disappear and our mind will attain peace and happiness. Sudama's story. When the above story was being narrated, Hemad Pant was reminded of a similar story about Sudama. This story illustrates the same principle and therefore it is given here. Sri Krishna and his elder brother Balarama were living with a classmate named Sudama at the ashram of their guru Sandipani once. Krishna and Balarama were sent to the forest to bring firewood. Sandipani's wife sent Sudama with them, with some quantity of grams for the three to eat. When Krishna and Sudama in the forest, he said to him, "I want water, I am thirsty." Sudama replied, "No water should be drunk on an empty stomach, so it is better to rest a while." He did not tell Krishna that he had grams with him, never offered him some. As Krishna was tired, he lay down to rest with his head on Sudama's lap and soon appeared to be snoring. Seeing this, Sudama took the grams out and began to eat. Then Krishna suddenly asked him, "What are you eating? When is this? What is the sound?" Sudama replied, "What is there to eat? I am shivering because of the cold and my teeth are chattering. I can't even clearly chant the Vishnu Sahasranama." Hearing this, Krishna said, "I just had a dream in which I saw a man eating things of another. And when asked about this, the man said, 'What earth is there to eat?' The other man said, 'Let it be so, Dada. This is only a dream. I know that you won't eat anything without me.' Under the influence of the dream, I asked you what you were eating." If Sudama had known about the omniscient Sri Krishna and his Leelas, he would not have acted as he did. Therefore, he had to suffer for what he did. Though he was a friend of Sri Krishna, he had to pass his later life in utter poverty. But when he later offered Krishna a handful of parched rice earned by his wife with her own labor, Krishna was pleased and gave him a golden city to enjoy. This story should be remembered by those who have the habit of eating things alone without sharing them with others. The Shruti also emphasizes this lesson and asks us to offer things first to God and then enjoy them afterwards. Baba has also taught us the same lesson in his inimitable and humorous ways. Anna Chinchanikar versus Mavsi Bai. Hemant Pant now describes another witty incident in which Baba played the part of a peacemaker. There was a devotee named Damodar Ghanashyam Bhabre alias Anna Chinchanikar. He was simple, rough and straightforward. He cared for nobody, always spoke plainly and carried all dealings in cash. Though he looked harsh and uncompromising on the outside, he was a good-natured human being. Thus, Sai Baba loved him. One day at noon, like others serving Baba in their own way, Anna was standing and shampooing Baba's left arm, which rested on the railing. On the right side, an old widow named Venu Bai Kaujalgi, whom Baba called mother and everyone else called Mavsi Bai, was serving Baba in her own way. Mavsi Bai was an elderly woman with a pure heart. She wrapped her hands around Baba's trunk and was at this time kneading Baba's abdomen. She did this so forcibly that Baba's back and abdomen became flat and Baba rocked from side to side. Anna on the other side was steady, but Mavsi Bai's face moved up and down with her strokes. Once it so happened that her face came very close to Anna's. Being of a witty disposition, she remarked, "Oh my, Anna is a lewd fellow. He wants to kiss me. Despite being so old and grey, he feels no shame in kissing me." These words enraged Anna, and he pulled up his sleeves and said, "You say that? I am an old bad fellow. Am I a fool? It is you who had picked a quarrel with me." Everyone present there was enjoying this encounter between them. Baba, who loved both of them equally and wanted to pacify them, managed the affair very skillfully. He lovingly said, "Oh Anna, why are you unnecessarily raising this hue and cry? I do not understand the harm or impropriety in kissing the mother." Hearing Baba's kind words, both of them were satisfied and everyone laughed merrily. Baba's dependence on his bhaktas. Baba allowed his devotees to serve him in their own way and did not like anyone else interfering in this. To quote an instance, Mavsi Bai was on other occasion kneading Baba's abdomen. Seeing the amount of force she was using, all the other devotees felt rather anxious. They said, "Oh mother, please be more gentle, otherwise you will break Baba's arteries and nerves." As soon as Baba heard this, he got up from his seat and dashed his satka on the ground. He got enraged and his eyes became red like live coal. No one dared to stand before or face Baba. Then he took hold of one end of the satka with both the hands and pressed it into his abdomen. He pressed the others and against a post and began to push hard onto it. The satka, which was about 2 or 3 feet in length, seemed to go into the abdomen, and people feared that the abdomen would rupture at any moment. The post was fixed and immovable, and Baba began to get closer and closer to it and clasped the post firmly. The rupture was expected at any moment, and they were all dismayed and did not know what to do. They stood around anxiously with wonder and fear. Baba suffered this ordeal for the sake of his devotees. The other devotees wanted only to give a hint to Mavsi Bai to be moderate in her service and not cause any trouble or pain to Baba. They did this with good intentions, but Baba would not even tolerate this. They were shocked to see that their well-intentioned efforts had resulted in this catastrophe, and they could do nothing but wait and watch. Fortunately, Baba's rage subsided. He let go of the satka and resumed his seat. From this time onwards, the devotees learned the lesson that they should not meddle in anybody's service, but should allow them to serve Baba as they choose. Since Baba was capable of gauging the merits and value of the service rendered unto him. End of chapter 24. Om Sai Ram. Om Sai Ram. Sai Satcharitra Chapter 25. Topics: Damo Annakasa's speculation, Amralila, miracle of the mangoes. Preliminary. We begin this chapter with a bow with all our 8 limbs to Sai Baba, who is an ocean of mercy, the God of incarnate, the Parabrahma, and the great Yogeshwara. Victory be unto Sai Baba, who is the crest jewel of the saints, the home of all auspicious things, our Atmaram, and the able refuge of his devotees. We prostrate ourselves before him, who has attained the aim and end of life. Sai Baba is always full of mercy. What is wanted on our paths is the wholehearted devotion to him. When a devotee has got firm faith and devotion, his wishes are soon fulfilled. When the desires arose in Hemant Pant's mind to write the life and Leelas of Sai Baba, Baba immediately got it written by him. When the order to keep memos was given, Hemant Pant was inspired, his intellect acquired the strength, and he had the boldness to undertake and finish the work. He was not, he says, qualified to write the work, but the gracious blessings of Baba enabled him to complete the undertaking, and thus you have this Satcharithra, which is a Somakand jewel. From this jewel, nectar in the form of Sai Leela oozes out for the readers to drink to their heart's content. Whenever a devotee has complete and wholehearted devotion to Sai Baba, all his calamities and dangers are warded off and his welfare is attended by Baba. The story of Damodar Savalram Risain of Ahmednagar, alias Damu Anna, illustrating the above statement is given below. Damu Anna. The readers may remember that this gentleman was mentioned in the chapter 6 with regards to the celebration of Ramanavami festival in Shirdi. He went to Shirdi around the year 1895 when the Ramanavami celebration began, and from that time on he provided an ornamental flag for the festival for several years. He also fed the poor who came there for the festival. His speculations. Cotton. A broker who knew Damu Anna wrote to him that they should work in partnership on a cotton speculation business, which would bring them about 200,000 rupees as profit. Damu Anna says in a statement made around the year of 1936 to Mr. B.V. Narasimha Swami that the proposal to speculate in cotton was from a broker who was not to be a partner and that he was to be the sole adventurer. The broker wrote that the business was good and involved no risks and that the opportunity should not be lost. Damu Anna was considering this opportunity. He could not at once determine whether to venture into these speculations. He thought about this, and as he was a devotee of Baba, he wrote a detailed letter to Shama explaining all the facts and requested him to consult Baba and he get his advice in this matter. Shama got the letter and the next day and he came with it at noon to the masjid and placed it before Baba. Baba asked Shama what's that matter was and what the letter was about. Shama replied that Damu Anna wanted to consult him about something. Then Baba said, what does he write and what does he plan? It seems that he wants to reach the sky and that he is not content with the God has given him. Read this letter. Shama then said, the letter contains what you just said. O Deva, you sit here calm and composed and agitate devotees, and when they get restless, you draw them here. Some in person and others through letters. If you know the contents of the letter, why do you then press me to read it? Baba said, O Shama, please read it. I speak at random and who believes me? Then Shama read the letter and Baba heard it attentively and said with great emotion, Damu Anna has gone mad. Write him a reply that nothing is wanting in this house. Let him be content with the half loaf he has now and let him not bother about hundreds of thousands of rupees. Shama sent the reply which Damu Anna was anxiously waiting for. Upon reading it, found that all his hopes and prospects about grand profits were dashed. He thought that he had made a mistake in consulting Baba. But as Shama had hinted in the reply, there was always a big difference between seeing and hearing, and therefore he should come to Shirdi personally and see Baba. He thought it advisable to go to Shirdi and consult Baba personally about the affair. So he went to Shirdi, saw Baba, prostrated himself before him, and sat shampooing Baba's legs. He had no courage to ask Baba openly about the speculation, but he thought that it would be better if some share in the business he given to Baba, if Baba were to help him in the transaction. Damu Anna was thus thinking about this, and yet nothing was veiled from Baba. Everything about the past, present, and the future were crystal clear to him. A child wants sweets, but its mother gives it bitter medicine. The former spoils its health, while the latter improves it. So the mother, looking after the welfare of her infant, coaxes it and gives it medicine. Baba, the kind mother that he was, knew the present and future prospects of his devotees and therefore read Damu Anna's mind and said, Bapu, I do not want to be entangled in any such worldly things. Seeing Baba's disapproval, Damu Anna dropped the enterprise. Grain. Then he thought of trading in rice wheat, and other grains. Baba read this thought too and said to him, "You will be buying at 5 years and selling at 7 years a rupee." So this business was also abandoned. The rise in the prices of grain was kept up for some time, and Baba's prophecy seemed to be false. But in a month or two, there was abundant rain everywhere, and the prices suddenly fell. Therefore, those who stored grain suffered a severe loss. Damu Anna was saved from this fate. Needless to say, the cotton speculation, which was conducted by the broker with the help of another merchant, also collapsed with a severe loss to the investors. After saying that Baba had saved him from two severe losses in cotton and grain speculation, Damu Anna's faith in Baba grew strong and he remained a true devotee. Amra Leela, the miracle of the mangoes. Once a parcel of about 300 good mangoes was received at Shirdi. It was sent from Goa by a Mamaldar named Rail to Sai Baba, and the package was addressed to Shama. When it was opened, all the mangoes were found to be in good condition. They were left in Shama's charge and only four were retained and placed in a pot by Baba. He then said, "These four fruits are for Damu Anna, let them remain here." Damu Anna had two wives and had no children at that point. He had consulted many astrologers, studied astrology to some extent, and found that as there was an inauspicious planet in his horoscope, there was no prospect of having children in this life. But he had great faith in Baba. When he went to Shirdi 2 hours after the recipient of the mango parcel, Baba said, "Though other people are looking for the mangoes, they are Damu Annas. The person whom they are meant for should eat them and die." Damu Anna, on hearing these words, was first shocked, but when Malasapati, a prominent Shirdi devotee, explained to him that death meant the death of the little self of ego, he said that he would accept the fruits and eat them, but Baba said to him, "Do not eat them alone, share them with your youngest wife." The Amra Leela, miracle of four mangoes, will give her four sons and four daughters. This was done, and ultimately it was found that Baba's words turned out true and not those of the astrologers. Baba's speech established its efficacy while he was living in the flesh, but it also did the same even after his passing away. Baba said, "Believe me, that though I will pass away, the bones in my tomb will give you hope and confidence. My tomb will be speaking, moving, and communicating with those who surrender themselves wholeheartedly to me. Do not be anxious that I will be absent from your life. You will hear my bones speaking about and discussing your welfare, but remember me always. Believe in me, heart and soul, and then you will benefit greatly." In this regard, the following extract from Damu Anna's statement is worth reading. "Once, when I sat at his feet, I had two questions in my mind, and he gave answers to both. There are so many who came to Sai Baba. Are they all benefited from seeing him?" To this he replied, "Look at the mango tree in blossom. If all the flowers bore fruit, what a splendid crop it would be. But do they? Most fall off, either as flowers or as unripe fruits. Very few remain." The second question was about myself. If Baba were to pass away, how hopelessly adrift would I be, and how am I to fare then? To this Baba answered that he would be with me whenever and wherever I thought of him. That was a promise he kept up before 1918 and has been keeping up after 1918. He's still with me, he is still guiding me. This was about 1910 to 1911 when my brother separated from me. My sister died. There was a theft in my house and a resulting police inquiry, all of which upset me very much. I was most upset when my sister died. I did not care for life and enjoyment. When I went to Baba, he pacified me with his upadesh and made me eat a feast of Puran Poli at Appa Kulkarni's house, had sandal paste applied to my body. Then there was a theft in my house. A close friend of mine stole my wife's jewelry box, including her auspicious nose ring. I wept before Baba's photo. The next day, the man returned the jewelry box and prayed for forgiveness. Prayer. Hemant Plant closes this chapter with a prayer. O Sai Sadguru, the wish fulfilling tree of the Bhaktas, let us never forget and lose sight of your feet. We have been troubled by the ins and outs, births and deaths in this samsara. Now, free us from the cycle of births and deaths, restrain us from the outgoing nature of our senses to their objects, and introvert us and bring us face to face with the Atma. As long as this outgoing tendency of the senses and the mind is not checked, there is no prospect of self realization. Neither son, wife, nor friend will be of any use in the end. It is only you who will give us salvation and happiness, destroy completely our tendency for discussions and other evil matters, and let our tongue get a passion for chanting your name. Drive out our thoughts, goods or otherwise, make us forget our bodies and houses, and do away with our egoism. Make us always remember your name and forget all other things. Remove the restlessness of our mind and make it steady and calm. If you clasp us, the darkness of our ignorance will vanish and we shall live happily in our light. The fact that you made us drink the nectar of your Leelas and awakened us from our slumber is due to your grace and our store of merits in our past births. End of chapter 25. Om Sai Ram.